nightmare come to life when you said that this was the one time that y'all can boo. I thought you were gonna all boo at me. I'm glad that was not the case. My heart's racing. Okay. The better performance. I had just exited stage right, completing a matinee performance as the role of the lead flower in the Houston Ballet's version of The Nutcracker. I thought it had gone rather well because I hadn't slipped or fallen down or forgotten any of the choreography. Each time I performed, it was a mystery to me as to how my performance was actually perceived by the audience. So I kept a short mental list of potential disasters that could befall me. Then I would tick them off the list once I had exited the stage. Had I accidentally kicked my partner in the nuts? No? Well, then the show must have been a huge success. No need to undergo another restless night about it. After bows ended, I felt confident that this had been one of my finer performances. As in, it was fine because nothing awful had happened. I exited the stage and was addressed by the stage manager, who politely requested that all the leading performers linger side stage to welcome a celebrity audience member. Although tired, I was curious as to whom the mystery celebrity could be, and so I felt privileged to have been performing a role which passed as a leading part, if only just. I hung around as performers bustled around me, rushing to return to dressing rooms, then cars, then home, before repeating the same routine for the next show that evening. Once the side stage was empty and quiet, we were directed to wait in the wings as the backstage area was secured. Wow, I thought to myself, this mystery guest must be the real deal. A few more moments passed as we waited in the shadows of our designated wings and were instructed to look directly ahead of us. I did as I was instructed, but now with a steadily increasing sense of unease, and I really needed to pee. Curiosity soon got the best of me, and I peered through the part in the curtain of my wing to see what was heading my way. There was a quiet murmur of voices, of which I could only make out the stage managers. Then, the side stage and stage lights were switched on at high beam. I froze in my place, my breathing shallowed. The door which led from the orchestra seats to the side stage burst open, and in walked 3 large men, all wearing business suits. A moment later, a rather tall, stately, older gentleman strode in behind them with an air of prowess that I'd only seen from great stage performers. 2 more men in black followed closely behind him, looking alert and at the ready. As the gentleman neared the first wing, the light from the stage washed over him, revealing his identity. My eyes widened with surprise, and my guts tinged with a dash of dread. He was none other than the former President George H.W. Bush Sr. As the company manager introduced the former president to each dancer, I fell into memory. I recalled my mom coming into my room to gently inform me that America was now at war. "Are we in danger?" I asked her, sensing a type of fear that I'd never felt before. It was the fear of being bombed. "No, love," she said, somewhat assuredly. Well, I stuttered, searching for the words. "What does it mean, then?" I finally managed to spit out. "To be honest, sweetheart, I'm not quite sure. England hasn't been at war since I've been alive, so I'm clueless myself," she offered, frankly. My mom being British meant that the US government and its foreign policies were still quite new to her. She continued, "But we should come watch the telly because Mr. Rogers is supposed to have a chat about it with all the American children now." She took my little hand in hers and led me into our living room. I climbed into her lap as President GHWB Sr. finished his war address to the nation on our crappy old knob-and-dial TV. To my eyes, he looked terrifying, like somebody who had decided to slingshot my mom and me into even further realms of uncertainty and instability. Beneath my mom's hands, I felt my tummy tighten and twist with the fear of what our future held in store for us. With a sudden jerk, I yanked myself out of my memory and returned to the present, just as former President GHWB Sr. presented himself before me. He extended his stately arm, shook my bony hand in a way that was both effortless and meticulously rehearsed. I peered deep into his pupils, attempting to detect any hints of reptilian or cyborg traits. His smile seemed genuine. His grip was appropriately firm, yet polite. "Terrific job, Miss Miklaunus." He pronounced my name perfectly on the first attempt. "I enjoyed your performance very much. Just wonderful," he exclaimed. Politely and humbly, I thanked him and curtsied as a reflective gesture. Then, with a perfectly timed pause, he nodded once more and then gracefully moved on to the next dancer. A few minutes later, I was back in the safety of the dressing room. I removed my stage makeup and I changed into my sweatsuit. All of my coworkers had left for the afternoon, and I stood alone in the quiet, brightly lit room. We were about to begin a long run of 10 days of shows in a row. It would be an increasingly steeper battle until Christmas was over. I thought about the soldiers in Iraq who were there during the holidays because President George W. Bush Jr. sent them there to complete the war that his father had started. His father, the man I had just shaken hands with, the man who terrified me as a child, the man who had just now convinced me that my performance had been something exceptional. Well, I thought to myself as I pulled the last bobby pin out of my scalp, he truly is the better performer.